call this meeting to order. We have the invocation, please.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for your many blessings and gifts. We pray for our mayor, our city staff, and this council. Graciously grant them a sense of welfare and true needs of the community, and continued ability to work together in harmony, even with their response to disagreement, and personal peace in their lives and joy in their tasks. We also ask you to remember the lives of the family. In the name of Jesus Christ, in the name of one great God. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to have the approval of the minutes of May 15th work session, May 22nd regular council meeting, May 29th special call council meeting, June 18th work session, and June 19th work session.
I have a question on the May 22nd.
Okay.
Do we have to do the motion and yes? Are we doing it individually?
You can do
Well,
all
you
this.
got something in there. Just wanted the approval of all these.
Just one. Okay, you can approve them, I just have a question.
Well, that is your question. I'll make a motion we approve. Second.
Move second, all in favor? No. Silent. Then, now, question?
Yes, on the May 22nd one, it said I was having a wonderful trip out to southwest. This was the authorization for the service delivery strategy mediation. How much is our attorney being paid? Not yet. How much is the SDS attorney being paid?
$1,000 for our portion of this part. In the mediation, to answer what I think you're asking.
Well, I could hear better if you spoke into the microphone
No, I'm sorry.
too. This air conditioner behind me, and I left my hearing aids at home.
Okay, we spent $1,000 to find out what the inequities were that were different for Sky Valley versus Clayton. The majority of them, as you know, we're all
Yeah.
the same, but we have our fire, let's say our fire, for example, and our solid waste is different from theirs. So we paid him for that. Mediation is paid for either by the two cities who have an actual seat at the table, as they call it, which would be Clayton and Mountain City. However, if Mountain City does not join in, it will be divided by population. And basically, if it was just Clayton and Sky Valley, we talked about that in the last meeting, was that estimating that Clayton's population is around 2,700, 24 to
Now, were you talking about SPLOST or SDS attorney?
We're talking about the mediation.
Okay.
That's what you were asking about.
Yes,
right?
okay, the mediation
And I think you're
is
going to get to
per
the cost
attorney.
is what we're looking for.
Right. I
Okay.
mean, per population, I'm
Right.
sorry.
So anyway, it's estimated that the mediation will cost $8,000. And basically, if you take the population of Clayton and Sky Valley, we are 10%.
Is that the start of it, that we would have to pay, the 10% of the 8,000?
Well, until the mediation is complete, there really won't be a detailed bill. That's what they're estimating at this point.
Estimating.
They're estimating 8,000, and actually they say that they're estimating that on the high side. of you may have an opinion on that.
Who estimated?
SPS consultants.
I wasn't privy to that conversation, but that's what they estimated.
That's, that's what they actually said was between 6 and 8, so I just figured let's take worst case scenario.
Okay, that answers my question. You can vote.
Mr. Mayor? Yes, sir.
I know from my own experience, looking at the minutes, there's a number of typos in those minutes. Left out words included twice. And everything I write, I know from experience, I give to my dear wife proofread. And I think I'd like to suggest that when the minutes are done, that somebody assist to prepare by proofreading them. Because what you write yourself, you can read right over it and it'll read just perfectly. And but when somebody else reads it, they'll point out to you where you left out a word or something like that. So I'd like to make that a suggestion. And if you want.
Neil, I'm having a little hard time hearing you with that air conditioner behind me. So I think we all need to talk to microphone.
I thought I was.
I still couldn't hear you.
I was trying, I'm sorry.
So all you're saying is that you want somebody to proofread whatever Ella puts on down for the minutes? Is that what you're saying?
I just think it would be a good idea,
Okay,
that practice be considered.
so no. I'd like to have the adoption of today's agenda.
Point of order. We need a vote on the motion that was on the table.
I'd like to have a vote on the approval of the minutes of May 15th, 22nd, 29th, June 18th, and June 19th.
Aye.
Aye.
Did that? Okay, Ellen said we already did that.
That's all we need to do.
Yeah.
Discussion. All right, so approved.
I move that we adopt the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have quite a long agenda today. The mayor's remarks will be cut short. I'll have the council's remarks.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming out.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. And I want to mention that I know on our agenda today, we're talking about the feral hogs again. And they hit us pretty hard last night on Alex Mountain Drive. They started about Lee Robinson's and just cleaned it up, plowed it up down the hill there. So they're heating us up. We kind of got a break for a week or two. Coming back strong again. So, other than that, good morning.
You know, I'm not going to say something real fast. So. Thank you very much for showing up this morning. We do have a busy day. I just wanted to remind everybody, and those of you who got a card from me, that we are having the July 3rd Sid Weber Memorial Cancer Fund Barbecue. You can pick up tickets at City Hall the Welcome Center, Linda Durance's office, timeshares, or you can call me at home and I will hold your ticket. As long as I know you're going to pay me, but I will find out where you live. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for coming.
Our city manager's on vacation. Ella, do you want to go through that, please?
No, sir, I don't have anything to add. I would ask that if someone has a question about minutes when they're sent out, that they actually contact me when they get those minutes. If we could do that, and the reports were sent out as Linda had sent them out with the agenda packet, and if you have any questions, please let us know.
I'm asking the council, they've read had the agenda, they've read the city manager's report. Do you have any questions on it? If not, then we'll continue on. Radar sign, Chief has a repeat of his other comments, but he can stand up and recite them again if you would, please.
We're still at the mercy of the Georgia Department of Transportation. They've approved our sign. They're in the works of putting up the post to install the sign. It's on their to-do list, and that's all they're saying. So, but they are in the process of re-signing the entire mountain road. So they're going to be replacing a lot of the signs, putting up some flashing signs for the curves, things like that. So it will be part of that project, is what they're telling me. So, and that's pretty much the only information they're providing at this time. But our sign is approved, but the post will be part of that overall project when they redo the sign.
Thank you for getting this going.
All right, on our pavilion, we put out got a concrete pad done, we got our grills there, we got our tables there. We had a wedding there just shortly on the weekend, and we haven't got our power into yet, but we're still trying to find an electrician that has the time to come in and put in our receptacles and our lights. But as of right now, the pavilion, the city's pavilion, is open for any residents to use at any time. There is a charge, or not a charge, but a deposit of $50. And after you're all done and it's cleaned up, then you get your $50 back. If not, if we have to do it, that's what the charge will be. So we hope everybody will come in there, use it. There's no basic charge at all. It's just for the citizens, the guests, timeshare, all residents. Splash is in negotiation. There's not much on that one.
Well, what's the negotiation right now? And is it attached to the SDS, the Strategic Delivery System? Do we have to get that approved first?
No.
No?
Totally separate items.
Pardon?
They're totally separate items.
Totally separate. Somewhere along the line, I got the impression that we had to do one and do the other. Okay, all right. And there is a squash meeting in the middle of July?
finalized yet.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
The 2018 audit projected for July work session. Ella, you want to say anything on that?
It is currently underway. Our auditor has been requesting additional information, and hopefully she will be through in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Is everybody here? Here's Mike, I guess.
Loose proofs. I see where it is, Al, hang on.
The auditor is in the process of doing the audit, and she should be finished in the next 2 or 3 weeks. She has recently requested additional information to complete the audit.
Thank you. Hotel motel tax development authority.
No, we're moving forward.
Yep. That is something that we're still working on. And we're moving on that. The tree trimming. What that pertains to is that we don't have a bucket truck to get anybody up to trim the trees along the streets. And that's what it pertains to. We put out bids to several tree trimming companies, asking them if they would to give us a bid to come in and check the street and stay here for 2 weeks as a trial and just take and do as many streets as they can so we can see what the cost is. And that's what our present plan is. If it isn't too high, then we'll continue to hire the tree crews to come in and trim the streets, set them back. The charter amendment, second, final reading.
The charter amendment that you have in front of you, if you will recall, we had a first reading last month.
Could you get closer to the microphone, please?
Is mine working? Yeah, it is. Okay, sorry. The charter amendment that the council has in front of them, we did the first reading last month. We have also run the notice in the paper and have had it posted at the county courthouse pursuant to state law. So today would be the second reading of the charter amendment ordinance, and then council can vote on it if they choose. And since it's been posted, since you've already had a first reading, you're not required to read the entire charter amendment because we'd be here all day. You can read just the preamble to it.
An ordinance to amend rules of procedure, public access, and order of business for all meetings of the City Council of Scotty Valley.
Is it notice of a proposed amendment?
Yes.
An ordinance to amend the charter of the city of Sky Valley, amending section 210, city council, composition number, election, section 2-21, quorum voting, and section 3.01, election powers and duties of the mayor. And we're not going to read 12 pages.
I'll make a motion that we approve the charter amendment before us.
I second that.
Been moved and seconded. Do I have a vote? Oh, we're going to have a discussion. Have any discussion on this from anybody? Any of the council? If not, I'll have a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed?
Now, what you would need to do is that first ordinance that you began to read, that's the one you're going to do now. That changes the rules of procedure ordinance. You're doing a first reading on it as well. You would need to do a second reading, and if the council wants to vote on it, they can. Yes, sir. They look similar, but yeah, that is the second one.
Yeah. Ordinance to amend the rules of procedure, public access, and order of business for all meetings of the city council of Sky Valley.
I move that we accept the ordinance as written.
Second.
Moved and second. All in favor? Discussion. No discussions, and I can voted on. All those in favor? Opposed? An ordinance to amend firearms and wild animal ordinance and to provide permitting process for certain hunting within the city limits of Sky Valley.
Now, I believe this would be considered the first reading of this ordinance. My understanding though is that the police chief perhaps had some questions about the ordinance after we had discussed it last week at the work session. So if the council would allow the police chief to give his concerns, I'd like to answer them or not. Did you hear that? Yeah.
The greatest concern is obviously public safety. Any ordinance or anything that allows firearms in our city is a huge concern, obviously. In And based on the number of phone calls I've already received from the ad in the, or the, not the ad, but the announcement in the newspaper, it's going to be a huge problem. We already have people wanting to know what's the number of dogs they can bring, what's the caliber of weapon they can use, how many round capacity, all of these things. We already get 20 calls if one gunshot is heard. You start having someone unload a 30-round mag up there, imagine that, because it will echo through the whole valley. Plus, where's the rounds going? So it's a huge public safety concern. Other towns have dealt with similar problems. They choose archery restrictions, crossbows and bows, but still within the hunting regulations. Plus, we have a lot of laws that will restrict the areas that they would actually be able to hunt in our city. State law, 50 feet off of a roadway. Come off your right-of-ways in front of your homes, measure 50 feet. Where are they going to have to sit in your living room in a lot of places to actually hunt? We have a lot of empty land. Those lands are still private property, lots owned by people. They're going to need permission. One of the things we were trying to do was bake the animals into some of the more open areas. And just by putting out the feeders and cameras to view them and see the population we're actually dealing with, we got multiple complaints about, I saw a trail camera, I saw a corn feeder. And that wasn't involving hunting. That was just for our general knowledge, trying to figure out how many animals we're talking about. And public outcry was overwhelming just with that measure. So I think it's something that we might want to slow down and look at some of the other cities, how they've dealt with these problems. I don't believe firearms of any sort is the answer. Archery, possibly. That has been a popular choice. Even Roswell, suburb of Atlanta, allows archery in their areas. So I just think it's something that we as an entire group need to slow down and look at. The hogs are a definite problem. From what we've already determined, they come out of the national forest, which we do not control, in the middle of the night, and when you wake up, like Mr. Garpo said, there's a nightmare. They have destroyed everything. But when you discover that, they're back in the national forest. So, once again, you have to start working with DNR, figure out what can we do during the hours they're actually here. The middle of the night, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. Do you really want someone out there with an AR-15 shooting them at 3 o'clock in the morning? These are the kind of things we have to answer when our phone rings because they hear a shot. And those are things that I think the council has been trying to address, but it's, no matter which way you look at this, it's a difficult situation. It is a problem that will not go away and it must be addressed. But the manner in which we address it, I think we need to slow down and look at all the options. I think just saying allowing hunting with restricted permits is going to cause even more concern for you guys in the city when you start hearing these high-powered rifles go off, or 20 dogs come running through your yard. You know, where's the leash law at that point? You know, things of that nature. I just think it's some things we need to address and not try to rush into something, but just kind of educate ourselves and look at what other places have done to solve the same problem.
Thank you.
Chief,
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Chief, I heard everything you said, but I'd like to boil it down to one answer. If it was your decision, what would you do?
I wouldn't allow firearms.
Now, can you speak? Can the rest of us speak?
Do you want to field questions at this time, or do you want to?
Well, you're up there.
I'm up here. All right. All right. Ms. Platt, go ahead.
Thank you. In the past, we have had an ordinance that says no guns and no guns fired in Sky Valley, including setting off firecrackers during my term sitting up there. My concern is, I think there's enough trees between somebody who might be attempting to shoot hogs and my house. But you have a wonderful open meadow called the golf course. And people may not play late, but people walk around here all hours. And I know you're trying to address this. I have no problem with the police department shooting. And I know there's a man, excuse me, could I I have your attention? And I know there's a man who runs dogs, who also apparently is a professional hunter. And I know what you're dealing with. I have wild animals up where I live. The hogs haven't gotten there yet, but I do have coyotes and other things. But my concern, first and foremost, is the fact that you're dealing with an older population. I don't want somebody getting a rifle for Christmas and some ammunition, and then I'm not even sure they would respect your getting a permit. There are people who often think they're exceptional to the rules. And then what you have is somebody going out and shooting without skill and missing, and then the bullets from those rifles can go a mile or better. Thank you, that's all I have to say.
Well said. The firecrackers are now no longer against state law, so probably when you were on the council, you couldn't discharge them in Georgia anyway. Well, that's now changed. But those still adhere to the basic premise of what the forestry determines. Is it a fire risk? If it is, you can't discharge them even now, if it's determined too dry for firecrackers. Yes, you do have a lot of wildlife activity in your area. The big thing that I think you might want to just think about is the hunters. They don't live here in Sky Valley. They're coming from elsewhere. So they really don't care, and they don't know where your house is. They don't know if I shoot this hog, my round goes through it, is it going to come out at that angle, this angle, that angle? Where is it going? They don't, because they don't know that there's houses right over there and right here. They don't know this area. They're here for one purpose, to kill the animals. So, but as far as skilled hunters, as the ordinance is drafted, they're required to still maintain a valid hunter's license with a valid hunter safety requirement. So they had the bare minimum required training, okay, bare minimum. But skill sets, we don't control that. As it is today, we don't control who hunts all of this national forest that is surrounding us. If they get a permit, they could be hunting right behind Mr. Durbo's house right now, and we have no control. And even with or without an ordinance, we still won't control that. That's federal land. They can fire off around there, it can come into this city, and sometimes it does. But we wouldn't be in control of it. So it is a big concern, and like as you said, we've survived this long without firearms in the city, and I think that we can if we just manage this a little bit more restrictive for our safety, because we don't control a lot of the land that these animals are just coming out of, and they retreat to before daylight. So that is a good point. Mr. Howard.
Chief, you bring up some good points. What it seems to boil down to is, can the hog population be controlled with a handgun, or does it have to be a high-powered rifle?
Well, I will just tell you from our recent experience, our officers, Officer Edwards is here, he can attest to this firsthand. Maybe is the best answer. We have shot them as many as 3 times in the head and then run off with these 40 caliber Glocks that we carry. Okay. And we've also had shot them and then dropped. So if you're a hunter, you understand the mechanics of how shot placement and all this happens. But it can be done. Is it easy? No. Is it more controlled? Definitely. And the guys, with the officers doing it themselves and working with the DNR rangers on doing this, one of the most common and popular things is, as Mr. Holbrooks and I had already talked about, bait them into an area and kill them in that area, because that is determined a safe spot. And we are the ones firing, no one else, and we know where your houses are.
I like that idea. And that's what I kind of thought would be a good idea to start with. Handguns, if you need a more powerful handgun, I mean, I think the city could provide that. Like you could organize the police for a hunt, and bait, and so on, and be all controlled, because any hunter that comes in here anyway would have to be under your supervision, or police supervision. So I thank you for your comments, and I think it may lead us down another path.
Well, at the end of the day, we don't control this. Georgia Department of Natural Resources does. Wildlife Management. This is their, by state charter, this is their area. So anything we do, we'll have to be working with them and getting their approval for these types of things because this is their area.
So they're just an authority.
Yes.
You can't call them and say, come in here and control it.
They will not come in here and eliminate our problem. They will come in here and help us control our problem. They will come in and put out some traps and kill them. That's about as far as they will do. The same with bears. They will come and put in, for trouble and nuisance bears of that nature. But for us just to orchestrate a hunt or something like that, they're still in charge of hunting in the state of Georgia, regardless of the municipality. We're going to have to work with them, and so they will be involved in this process.
Well, that's good.
And they're completely willing to help, and we've talked to them multiple times.
Thank you.
Chief, the problem is pigs in the national forest, and we're up the edge of the national forest. Chief, I think the problem is the pigs in the national forest are coming into Sky Valley.
Absolutely.
And as long as the population in the national forest is under control, I'm wondering, what are we really expecting to accomplish by nibbling at it around the edges? That's question number one. Question number two is, shooting firearms inside the city limit just seems like a really, really poor idea. People walk all hours, kids, weekenders don't know anything about the stuff going on. We're not publicizing the hunts in advance. Is there any way that we could simply trap the animals if we decide that we can even have an effect on them and then dispatch them on the spot or take them down to Billingsley or whatever? So,
The herds that we're speaking of the hogs, are known in the area, everywhere from the Darnell, Warwoman area, all the way up here to the backside of Alex Mountain. Continuous forest, and they're roaming those areas. The rate of reproduction in these animals is greater than a lot of people have any idea of. They can have multiple litters during the year. They're at a breedable age at about 6 months of age. So when you get 20 hogs in a year, that 20 could easily be 60. So you need to catch them. The number of traps based on how many have we been seeing on our cameras as an average, James? Can you guess?
On one camera, we had probably 12.
12 in one group.
Yeah, and then it got down to where we had 4. The later one out, probably only had 1
The boars aren't really necessarily traveling with the sows and the baits, so you're going to have some different groups coming around, and we were baiting them in, and you're looking at a size range of small dog up to a 300-pound animal, so there's a wide range. Trapping is a possibility. It would take a lot of traps, but yes, that is a possibility, but when you trap them and you kill them, what do you now do with them? What's going to be our method for disposal? And that's something that we have. So lots of dynamics here that we're going to have to deal with on doing this. But yes, trapping is an option. We tried trapping last year, and we had people in town who don't agree with that, and they would come and they would trigger our traps so that when we returned, they were empty. So once again, we have different opinions about this in our town, and they all voice them to us. And when they find out what we're doing, if we publicize that we're going to have a corn feeder over here at the well, and we're going to bait them in for a week, and then we're going to have a hog killing over here, for example, those people would be over there to prevent the hunt. So you've done all your work for nothing. You also have the other people who would be there telling them, no, let them hunt. And then you start coming up with a lot of public discord at that point. And that's what we're trying not to create here. We've got a nice, peaceful community. Let's keep it that way. We have a problem. We can deal with it. We are not the first town to deal with this problem, and we will not be the last. Let's just be smart about it and make sure we explore all of our options and see what's going to work best for us. And one of the early things we have to do is determine how many animals we're dealing with. And that's what our cameras were. We've had trail cameras stolen, we've had feeders stolen, we've had traps removed. I mean, we've had it all happen to us because there are people who don't agree with any type of control because we are in their home. The animals lived here first and they have the right to this and we have to learn to deal with it. Well, you have to respect their views. Just like you have to respect the other person's view that is, I don't care where they're at, kill them. So we have to deal with both extremes. And we're trying to find something in the middle.
Chief, if we shouldn't feed the bears and shouldn't encourage them and bring in our bird feeders every night, why should we feed the pigs to get them to come to Sky Valley?
Because they're already here and we're going to kill them.
I'd like to interject something on this one. We cannot shoot the hogs in the federal land. That's the problem. Believe me, if we could go to the federal land and shoot the hogs on the federal land, that would be the way to do it. But and what kind of triggered this was the fact is we can't shoot the pig in the federal land, but we can bait and shoot them on Sky Valley land. So it's kind of a catch-22. You know, we're damned if we do. We can't shoot them over there, but we got to get them to Sky Valley before we can shoot them. But then we can't shoot them in Sky Valley once we've gotten them here. I agree with you totally. If we can bait them in the national forest and control them, you follow me, in the national forest, that would be the ultimate. But we can't do either.
Maybe the real solution to the problem is to use whatever political influence we have with the Georgia Department of Natural Resources to control this problem where it originates.
They're not in control of federal land. They're not in control of federal land.
No.
Federal regulations on federal.
National forests are
National forest.
multi-purpose, including hunting. And there are seasons for hunting deer and squirrels and other things.
And Georgia Department of Natural Resources does not regulate that. U.S. Forestry does. Different animals, yet here.
Should we be talking to the National Forest
Well, we
about
have.
this problem?
They're
Although I know they don't have the
indigenous.
budget to maintain their own roads.
The animals are indigenous to the area. You chose to live in their indigenous area, and we allow hunting during regulated hunting season.
And that's their answer.
Mr. Mayor.
12 months out of the year, in other words, I can put corn in my backyard and bring them to my property across into my lot, which I am right next to the national forest. As soon as they cross over into Sky Valley, then that's fair game. There, you can get them then, if we create an ordinance that allows that to happen. But the problem is once we get them in here, now we can't discharge the firearm.
Well, I don't have any problem with not discharging firearms in Sky Valley.
I have a
If we
problem
can
with
trap them, if we can poison them, if we can do something, that's not gonna
Well,
pose a hazard.
we've picked this thing around enough.
Mr. Mayor.
Chief, I want to thank you
Mr.
very
Mayor.
much.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we table this proposed ordinance and direct that the police chief explore numerous options by contacting other areas and what they've done to eradicate this problem, and that the police chief prepare a written report detailing all of the information that he's obtained and proposing, in his and other people's opinions, the best option to help us deal with this pig problem.
I agree.
I'll second the motion to table item number 16 on the agenda.
It's been moved and seconded on the proposal by our illustrious councilman. Do I have any discussion on this?
I'd just like to see a time frame for that report to be developed.
A time frame would be up to the chief, because he's going to be doing all the research on it. And I'm
I'm sure that he'll get it back to us as soon as he can possibly do it. And we'll put it on our agenda and on our workshop. We'll bring it to the head of it so that
I
people know.
request that it be a continuously reported item until such time as that report is delivered. Continuously reported at every meeting, workshop, discussion.
No, I disagree. I think we ought to wait until he gets a more complete report rather than just little pieces here and there. So,
Mr. Mayor, in my opinion, from what I've heard, Police Officer Edwards has been dealing with this for 5 years. The police chief has stated that he's been in touch with people, and I would suggest that his information be disseminated to the council and to any taxpayers who show up at the very next work session. He already has a sufficient amount of information. It needs to be collated, written down, and disseminated. And that the longer we wait, the more adversarial positions are going to be taken. And I think we need to address this issue and set a time limit and say to the chief at the next work session, even if we have to call it a special session, that he be prepared with some more solid answers backing up what he's already stated today.
I totally agree with Councilman Pointkowski.
I'd like to ask the chief to keep a couple of things in mind. I'd like to ask you to keep a couple of things in mind. We have people of all ages here with pets who have to take them out at night. And their lives are in danger here if we don't deal with this. And the other problem is if they ever get to the golf course is out of business. So this is not something that I feel can sit out here and go from one meeting to the next meeting, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, you know what I'm saying? Because we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, and to Al's point, yes, this has been something that's been going on for 3 to 5 years. And I think David can tell you, as I know I can, I have never seen it like this.
Do we have a second? All right. This is
so
a
you,
matter of emergency.
Al, are making a motion to put this on the July workshop?
The motion is for the police chief to gather more information from numerous cities, even if they're not in the state of Georgia, even though that wouldn't apply with Georgia statutes, and to provide solutions to the problem. It doesn't necessarily have to be one solution, but to provide solutions so that we, the taxpayers of Sky Valley, can assess those solutions, discuss them, and then make an informed decision. It's a long answer, but it's get the information, give it your best shot at the solution, and have the police chief write up a written report outlining who he's talked to, what they've done to deal with the problems, what successes or failures they've met with, and where we should go consistent with the fact that we live in the woods.
This is a matter of extreme emergency, I think, for the city. So as soon as the chief can do this, let it be known to the mayor, and the mayor has the ability to call an emergency meeting to address this problem as soon as we have more information. And I suggest that that be followed.
Chief,
I'll call for a vote, please.
is there any way we can temporarily allow those of us who live along the national forest, the first line of target for these pigs? Is there anything we can do temporarily where it will allow us to participate in helping address this issue?
Not based on current ordinances and laws as written today. You have to read in those guidelines. As of today, you cannot discharge a firearm in this area. Now, if you cross over to the federal property, you have to abide by their laws. Now, hogs are on state property, you can shoot them year round. You have to use the type of weapon that is approved for that season. So during turkey season, a turkey gun. During deer season, a deer gun. Federal property, they're a lot more restricted. So right now, you have to get a special permit from them. Behind your house, for example, in the national care.
Well, that's kind of my thought was, okay, we got to dig into the property, can I step over into the national forest and shoot it back into the
If
property?
you have their permit,
You know,
you have to have a permit from the federal land.
we've got to deal with that.
All right, we have a motion and a second on to have the chief look into this and to get back to the city. And the next council meeting and workshop is in July, the third week. And if you can get it here any sooner, we can call a special meeting to discuss it. Do I have a vote to do on this proposal? All in favor?
Aye.
We'll be the long.
One nay. All right, so voted. Consider bid for the scenic overlook fencing. As you all know, down at the overlook, the wall that's there is fallen down. And it is, to put it back the way it was is very expensive. And so, we've talked with Mr. Merrill. We had plans drew up for a wooden fence to be put up there. And we put it out for bids. As it stands, we only have one bid.
You have one bid for the installation of the fencing, you have three bids
We have
for the materials.
the one bid to do the work is $5,400. We have three bids for material. We have one from Reed's Hardware for
May I comment? I tried to reconcile the bids from the three suppliers for the materials. They're all, for one thing, they were not asked to bid on the washers. They didn't specify some of the grade of the wood, and the drawing that I made requires that it to be number one grade. there's no way to reconcile all the bids if they're all so different in how they bid them. I would like to suggest that, and I would volunteer to do so, to put a bid of materials that specifies exactly what they have to bid and what quality, rather than just saying we needed, you know. And the quantity of the light bulbs that were asked to be bid on were only half the proper quantity. And rebid it to get, we can get apples and apples, not apples and oranges and grapefruits.
You want to go back to these three bids with the complete,
With more
more
specific
specifics on it.
item, way to bid, or
All right.
else we're gonna get the same,
You would like to postpone this until next meeting, until you can get that?
I'll have it ready by Friday to put out again and specify the list of reviews.
All right. All right, we'll cancel this item 17 until we get a complete bid on material need.
It only took them 2 days to bid back the last time, so if we get it out, we should have by next week response and award a bid based on a little bit of that's what you want to do.
All right, declaration for property surplus.
I make a motion to accept the proposed resolution declaring property surplus.
I'll second that.
Second.
Been moved and second to declare the list. Military water tank trailer, slide-in dump
You need a vote.
for 390,
You need a vote on item
3930 tractor, mower, and a box trailer. Do you have any discussion about these items? No discussions, and do we have a vote to accept these items as surplus?
All in favor?
All in favor? We have item 19, paving contract. We have a contract to pave several streets. This is a contract from last year, which is in 2 parts. It's been discussed at workshop that we have to take and cancel the contract for the streets, to use the money for other things that we need in the city, but we also have some of the council that wants to have the paving done. So I'd like to have a motion to accept the paving contract for discussion. I have a motion to, on item 19.
I move that we accept what the previous administration proposed as far as paving and what they allocated for funds to conduct the paving.
Second.
Been moved and second to have the contract honored.
I've got a question for the attorney. Did you review the contract and can you give us a report? This wasn't something we had on the work session last Tuesday.
Correct.
Thanks.
The conversation that I had with the city manager, my understanding was that the company that the city has a contract with is okay with proceeding and is okay also with not proceeding. Is that your understanding as well?
Yes, that was my understanding.
Okay. So if the company is okay with proceeding under the contract or not proceeding, we don't have to worry about any breach of contract or that nature. So it's really a policy decision for the council to make whether you think it's prudent for the city to continue with that or not. I don't think we would be under any legal trouble because it would just be a mutual decision between the parties to drop it if that's what you wanted to do, or to go forward with it if that's what y'all want to do as well.
Thank you.
I have a question. Not proceeding is not explanatory enough for me. Does that mean we essentially default on the contract and they're going to accept that, and we do not do the, I thought there was a question of, could we postpone to next year and keep the same pricing in place? Are we completely reopening this for a rebid at a higher rate? I think that's the crux of this thing, whether we do it now at the price quoted last year,
Yes.
maybe even the year before, or to postpone it and at an unknown price, or will there be an agreement contractual agreement in writing that they'll postpone it for a year and keep the same price?
Yes, that is the risk that the city runs. Right now, the city does have a contract with this contractor, and all the terms are set. If the city decides that it does not want to pursue the contract, and the contractor's okay with that, then the contract is void at that point. And it's possible that the contractor next year, or whenever the city decides to proceed, could change the terms of the deal, and it could be higher. That is a risk.
And you can bet it's going to be considerably higher based upon what's happening with oil and gasoline, as you can see on your personal expenditure. So that needs to be taken into consideration, not just a matter of whether we postpone it.
Linda's email here, basically, she came back with.
Can't hear you.
Linda sent out an email that said she had talked to the papers and they would be, although disappointed not to finish the work this year, they would be fine to postpone it if we so choose to do it. So we're not canceling. I don't think anybody can postpone actually canceling the contract, just postpone it.
The only problem that they would say is the amount of money due to the increased cost of oil. So they'll put down what that amount is this year, but it might not be the full amount to do all the streets that they said they would do this year.
Also, money has already been allocated or budgeted for this paving this year in the amount of $174,000. So unless somebody's saying we don't have $174,000 that was budgeted, then I reiterate what my original movement was, is that we accept the paving this year and not kick it down the road.
I agree with Mr. Ponkowski.
Where are we getting the money for like this fence and so forth? Yeah, pardon me,
This budget for this year.
this fence is already budgeted.
Oh, no,
And
we're
it's,
talking about.
and the work at the pavilion was already budgeted and so for that.
You're jumping here. We're talking on this asphalt.
Well, the reason we had all discussed this asphalt, postponing it was because there was
Can't
not.
hear you.
The reason we discussed postponing the asphalt this year was simply because we did not have the money to do, we had to get money from the budget of some category to move that somewhere else. So if we don't postpone this, where does the money come from? Or do we do maybe not 100% of it, but do a portion of it?
What portion do you want to do?
I'm just asking in theory, in other words.
Again, the previous administration signed a contract to have this paving done, finishing it this year for $174,000. It's my understanding, unless you know something differently, that the money has been budgeted and that we're now talking about paving, not electrical work in the pavilion or a fence. If we are short, if that turns out to be the case, that we are short money, funds to accomplish something that we haven't even started, such as the overlook, then we can always postpone the overlook because we're still looking for bids on the equipment. So again, I am going to reiterate that I move that we accept the paving contract as it was originally put out and that we get the paving done for $174,000 this year, 2018.
It's been moved, second, that we accept the paving contract for this year. Do I have a vote on this?
Aye.
How do you ask for it? I have a vote on the contract. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed?
Nay.
One nay.
Two.
Two nays.
Passes.
It is passed. All right. We have a request, Fletcher Wolf at 594 Sky High, requesting to build on the right-of-way. He's putting up 2 light posts with cement, with blocking and rock. I have driven by it, and all the way down the street, everybody's been encroached upon this, on the so-called right-of-way. He is further back than anybody else. Most right-of-ways are 30 feet. Happens to be on that particular street, right-of-way is 50 feet. It is not infringed. His light posts out there are rock. It is going to look very nice. It's not going to encroach upon any of the cars driving or any part. It will not bother the plowing because it's back further than the road. He is asking for the right to continue with his project. I would like to have some, has anybody else driven by?
I have. Normally what happens is that when the property comes up for sale, all of a sudden, they do a survey and they find out that something's out into the right of way. It comes as a request, a written request to council, and to my knowledge, for the last 8 years, I think we've approved every one of them. But I don't see a request.
He just,
Is he not just act, it looks like all.
There's nothing filled out on this form, so what are we requesting?
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, may I represent Mr. Wolf, and I have a request here in writing. May I present that to you, sir?
Okay, well, what I've received, I'm just trying to clarify what we're doing.
Compared to the ones that are already there.
no.
Like he's just going back and fixing
Thank you very much, council. My name is Reverend Neil Cardwell, and I represent Mr. Wolf. I have hold his power of attorney. He sends his regards. He asks for your forgiveness, for lack of a better word, for not being able to be here personally. But Mrs. Wolf is having fine health. He's been through some changes these last years since retiring. May I say that I'll take responsibility for not getting the proper paperwork to you. He asked me to come present this request respectfully to the council for this small improvement to the property. And, I'm not sure I have it entirely filled out, but I can provide all that for you. May I give that to you, sir? It is an attractive addition to the property. I appreciate you taking your valuable time to consider such a request.
I don't think, I speak for myself, I think at least one other council person, we're not against what he's trying to do, improve his property and ask for the variance, which in all other cases, small encroachment into the, has been approved. So I think the request we received favorably, but I just didn't have any requests.
I ask your forgiveness for that, so that's not on Mr. Wolf, that's on me today, so I apologize.
I'll make a motion that we approve the right-of-way encroachment for structure for Mr. Wolf at 594 Sky High.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, can I see the permit?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
This picture that was provided us shows a pillar that was evidently existing. I'm assuming this is moving closer to the road, or?
No, sir, it's a partial rendering of the structure. We're actually not going to, we're going to actually remove that piece and
Right.
reconstruct.
That's what
It's in the same location.
Oh, it's in the same, that's what
Yes,
I'm
sir.
getting at, so it's the
Exactly.
exact
Yes,
same
sir.
location, you're really not changing anything.
Yes, sir.
There, thank you.
Been moved and seconded. I'd like to have a vote on this to accept. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. She's got to go after.
All right, we have a public forum and general comments from anybody that.
My name is Jeffrey Coton. I live at 96 Snowbird Lane. I saw that originally there was a proposal to shoot Canadian geese, Canada geese. I discovered that there's a Migratory Bird Act of 1918, and I looked it up. Canada geese are protected. You cannot shoot, you cannot kill, you cannot hunt, you cannot take, you cannot capture. They are protected by law. Further, the law goes on in 1998, poisoning is also disapproved. You cannot kill Canada geese. The fine for poisoning is $100,000 or a year in jail. It looks like the fine for killing was increased to $15,000. So any thoughts of killing the Canadian geese or Canada geese are very dangerous to yourself, not to mention geese. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you very much. I noticed that in our proposal on we had put geese down along with the hogs and so forth, so we will remove that from
Yeah.
our list.
Yes.
There's more than one type of geese, correct?
Canada.
Correct. But the ordinance as written just said geese, and then it also said that it would be subject to all state and federal regulations. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but it would, if it were to pass, which it doesn't look like it's being brought up to the vote anytime soon, but it would allow you to shoot geese that were not subject to that federal regulation.
You better go in and look and see all the migratory birds that are protected, and there are bunches of them. So, be very dangerous.
I'll keep it short.
Yep.
I know I have a good mouth. I just wanted to say how much those of us who are single and live alone appreciate everything that we appreciate. All of you, thank you for your time. But we really appreciate our city employees. And I would like to say that those of you sitting up there, I know you come and go, as evidenced by the last election. And these people, our employees, are here all the time, and they take care of us. And we treat them with a great deal of respect. When I served in your place, I said a lot of pleases and thank yous. And I would like to ask you to treat them in the same manner, because we can't get along without these people. They do little, very thoughtful things, like when it's raining and I put out my huge garbage pail that the bear can't push over, then I come out and when I raise my garage door, there it is right by the garage. Those very little things mean a lot to us. And when we have had, for any reason, to call the police, they're right there. I personally miss having 4 policemen and a chief. That kind of coverage meant a great deal to us. And I am somebody who 3 years ago in April woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and heard 2 sets of cowboy boots because they were plunk, 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 plunk on my deck. And I rolled out of bed with my you-know-what. And they rang my doorbell. And I stood there and I thought, if you kick my door, you're going to have a problem. But you know what? It happened so fast. I did call the police, and I want to tell you something. They were right there as fast as they could. And every time I open my big mouth, want to tell you how important those people are to us. And I don't want to see any of them go. And I would ask you to treat them with the same level of respect as I think the residents try to do.
I agree with you, Maureen, totally, but we need to talk
Thank you very
to
much.
our employees with respect. Thank you.
I have a motion to adjourn.
Hold on just a moment, Mayor, please. We have a gentleman here with DNR. He'd like to come up and make some comments if we have time.
In reference to the hogs, please.
Come ahead.
He's also handling some of our bear issues as well. Thanks for coming. You know, it's hard to get them up here, so I didn't want y'all to miss the opportunity to hear straight from them.
My name's Ryan Watts, I'm a DNR.
Speak real close to them.
Yeah.
Put your mouth right up against it.
There you go. My name's Ryan Watts, I'm the area manager at War Woman WMA.
Still a little louder, please.
How about that?
Keep it right near your lips.
My name's Ryan Watts, I'm the area manager at War Woman WMA, and I take care of Raven County Wildlife. I'm with DNR, WRD section. I've had last year someone contacted me, a resident here, I don't remember their name. They contacted me about hogs, and I've meant to try to get up here to contact someone, but never got a hold of anybody. And Jerry Schultz just contacted me about the hogs as well, and so y'all still have problems, I understand. Okay. So, I've trapped in the last year,
Just a little bit.
I've trapped close to 300, 350 hogs all across, mainly on War Woman, but across the northeast Georgia section of our region. And so I know a lot about it, and I've been doing it for a long time. And I didn't know what kind of problems y'all were having. So if you could just give me an idea what kind of problems you're having with the hogs, you know, in the golf course or whatever, how many you think there are, and I can give you some suggestions based off that. And actually, because of proximity that y'all are to the management area, I feel that it would be beneficial, personally, for me to come in and help y'all. We have very specialized equipment. We have thermal scopes, thermal imaging, specialized traps that run off cell phone signal that I can signal that I can do everything from my home. And I'd be more than willing, as long as our management would be willing to help y'all with it, because any hog skill here would benefit me on the management area. So if somebody could give me an idea of how many you think there are, what the problems are, just give me an overview of it, and I can come up with some suggestions for you.
We've got individual areas that's Chip's got them in his dooryard and everything, but our chief and his chief deputy, David Edwards, are really the ones that will give you the better location. And so we want to discuss after this meeting with the chief and give him what information he needs, and if you can come up here, we'll be more than happy to have you doing this, trapping and whatever.
Yes, thank you. And I'm sure our chief would welcome your assistance, and we pray for your assistance.
Thank you. The way I understand it, the way it's explained to me, y'all are considering opening hunting.
Well, the idea is they've got to go, I mean, they're trying to get plowing up our roads. I've got a couple of videos that I've shot and put online where they can take out several hundred yards of it. In fact, I left home one day and I'm on the way down here and one of those rural city doing, they filled up the whole side of the road. And come to find out, no, it was hogs. And then we kind of got a little bit of a break. And as soon as I pulled out my driveway this morning, they started at a neighbor up above me and gone, I don't know how far beyond that. So the concern is that we've got several people that live here with small animals, walk their dog at 10 o'clock at night. And, you know, most of these take a little old poodle, live tall, they think they're 10 foot tall bulletproof, so, you know, they're going to go for pigs and go have one thing after another. Plus the damage you're doing if they ever get to the golf course, it's really.
Can you use the microphone, please?
You have to speak into the mic. It just doesn't work if you don't put your mouth right close to it.
Thank you.
Anyway, I was speaking to him about I was explaining to him what's going on. I think you heard me right. And I was kind of explaining what the damage was done and, you know, got the videos available to help him see what they've done to the roadsides and so forth in Sky Valley. And then I'm just extremely concerned about people going out walking their dogs at 10 o'clock at night. You know, little dogs, they just think they're huge and they'll go after anything. So I don't want to have an issue with a 300-pound pig or more, and one of our senior citizens or even a young citizen.
So as far as solutions for that goes, pigs, I've heard mention of hunting before.
Hold the mic up close.
Hunting is not the solution for killing pigs. If you actually want hogs to be removed, this is my opinion, and this is the state's opinion as well. Hunting is not the solution, whether with dogs or with just firearms. It takes someone who's done it a lot. I can kill more hogs in one night with my thermal imaging and the training that I've had with all that equipment and the experience that I've had than you could in 2 years of hunting. Having an open hunt. If you had an open hog season year-round around here in the city of Sky Valley, I could kill more in a night with that thermal imaging than you would in an entire year. Then you're dealing with state regulations and things like that too. So hunting, you know, you might kill, like on War Woman, we allow hunting for hogs, but they might kill 5 a year, whereas I can kill 300 a year. So hunting is not your solution at all.
Now, can you, where we have the federal land around us, can you go into their land and trap them and so forth?
Yeah, I can.
And so, would you be available to come to Sky Valley and set up and get rid of these hogs?
It's a possibility I could. I'm willing to do it, but our policy, as far as hogs go, states that we're not going to do it on non-state managed areas. But it also allows us, if we're in close proximity to a state managed area, such as War Woman, which is right here across the mountain from you, then that would be beneficial for our area because hogs are nomadic. They're not staying here. They're going from here to Raven Ball to Walnut Fort to Hood Creek to Sayers Creek Road. I know because I've followed all the way. I know how they act. And they'll go all the way from Sayers Creek Road to War Woman to right here in about 2 days. So I feel that it would be beneficial, and I can talk to my management. They're the ones that have to approve it. In the long run, it might take a council member or someone to talk, speak to my management as well, because that's above my pay grade. I can't make that decision, but I feel it would be beneficial, and I can make an easy case how it would be beneficial, and I'm more willing to do that. I live on War Woman Road at Bottom Hill Ridge, but it didn't take me 15 minutes to get to Sky Valley, so I have no problem doing it at all.
How quickly could you work
I
on it?
would say that as far as myself and the committee, that we would like to have this problem solved in Sky Valley, and so that Whatever you can win and if you will do for us, we will be very thankful.
And the thing is too, also, if for whatever reason management doesn't approve this, or that's not something they want to pursue, or honestly, if I don't have time, I work a lot, I work 60, 70 hours a week, and I might not have time to do it, but if not, and there's other options, you can purchase one of these traps that I use, for, relatively cheap, honestly, for $2,000. And you can purchase one, and it can stay here, it belongs to City of Sky Valley. And I'm more than willing to come train a couple of individuals on how to run it, because it is very complex to run this trap and this equipment that I use. And I'm more willing to do that if everything else falls through, I can do that very easily.
Would you work with our police chief and get this thing on going? Very good.
That would be great.
Thank
I'm
you.
not telling, we have several residents all in border along there, so, I saw it from starting off, I guess, down where you meet near the rock quarry down there, all the way up around the Ball Mountain Road, so all of that portion of Sky Valley is up against it.
The only thing you have to understand is, this is kind of out of the ordinary state to do. I'm willing to do it, but I don't speak for the whole state, so you have to understand that. I can say it, but as soon as one of my bosses calls me and says, no, we're not doing that, I'm more willing to come up here and help y'all out in my personal time, because I have a vendetta against hogs. I cannot stand them.
Thank you.
So I'm more than willing to do that on my personal time. If y'all purchase a trap, just give me a couple options here. So if it doesn't work out with the state and management says no, then I can come help any way I can. It would take a day. I can help you in a day. Purchase a trap, I can teach everybody how to set it up and work it.
Is the first order of procedure, if you will, that the mayor of the city of Sky Valley has to request that you come out?
No, I know
How does your management get involved?
It would be, I contact my management, my supervisor, regional supervisor. We received a complaint last year about hogs, so it's still pending. So in theory, that complaint has not been responded to yet. That kind of stuff like that, when we're so busy with hogs or bears and stuff, they kind of get forgotten about. And I get 30 calls a day about wildlife, but that's technically still a pending call as far as that goes. And so it would just be me responding to a call and saying, well, I can probably possibly help you, and I'll contact my regional supervisor, and he says yes or no, essentially.
And just for my edification, if there's a hog problem with the amount of reproduction that they engage in during the course of a year, how long does it take to rid an area of the hog problem?
That's a tough thing to say. You'll never know. These hogs here haven't really been pressured. I've trapped hogs as close to a mile from where we're at right now on the Mansion area. But, I've had places where I trap and I can catch 80 hogs and I have never had a hog come back. But I also have areas where I've trapped 100 hogs and there's still hogs everywhere. So it might be beneficial. I can help you. It's always a peak. You're up here right now, and with trapping, you can knock it down to here, but with time, it's going to come back up here. So I can help you knock it down to here, and then you might want to see about actually getting a trap in a way to control the hogs. In the long run, like a long-term solution to this, what I would do is a short-term solution. They're going to come back. There's no way to ever get rid of them.
Is there any fee associated with this? Is this state funded?
This is state funded.
Okay. And how much does a trap cost?
A trap, for y'all to buy a trap would cost about $4,700. That's what they run average, about $4,700. Then you have a yearly fee for your cellular camera, which is about $300 a year. And I'm more than willing to help y'all with that. It's a really complicated system, and ordering and everything's a nightmare.
Is it foolproof? Because apparently we have people up here who decided they want to change the trap settings and the cameras and things like that.
No, you want one person. I'd have to train one person. I don't know whether it be,
Now I'm talking about the other people that think that hogs should be kept sacred.
oh, well. If any, use those cameras, your cellular, so, you know, if someone messes with a trap, I know, the last time I was up here and tried to trap a bear, I had issues with people setting a trap off. And I think someone's had issues with that, trying to trap hogs in the past as well. And, you know, that camera sends as soon as it takes a picture, it sends the message direct to my phone, and I can see everything on it. And I can live feed that camera, and I can see exactly who it is. So,
Can you also send it to the police chief's phone? You can respond
I can do
quicker.
that very easily.
Wouldn't that be a violation of state or federal law? Somebody mess with that?
Yes. It is a violation of state law, we tamper with state law.
Well, I appreciate you working with our police chief. We've asked him to put together a solution report as quickly as possible, and I think your assistance in that
That's
will
what
speed this up considerably, and we're looking forward to that.
That's what the state's here for, you know, we're professional wildlife managers, we do this for a living. And I live right in Rankin County, if y'all have any problems, I have cards, you can come get them. Bear problems, hog problems, coyote problems, anything, y'all can help us with every problem.
Just a question that I was curious about. In the research I've done, I kind of learned that, understand they're only taking away about 20% of the population nationwide of the pig population, and it actually needs to be taken away by 60% just to remain neutral. How are you guys doing? How are we doing here in Georgia?
I don't know about the state overall. I work Raven County, essentially War Woman, so I'm area manager of War Woman. I've helped other areas of the state, but I don't know about overall. But I know a War Woman, where I can say definitively, in 2 years, I've knocked the population down significantly enough to where you can't really hunt them. I've knocked it down to where it's an unhuntable population of hogs. But in the past few months, it's gone. Just seeing them every now and then, seeing them more often now. It don't take them long to repopulate. But I kill, I'd say, just based on my estimations, I kill about 80% of the population. So if you kill 80% of the population, you're reducing the overall population of hogs.
Yes.
And, you know, that's what you have to do. It's a full-time job. I mean, during summertime, I trap bears and I trap hogs. That's all I do. I do nothing else.
That sounds like you do. Well, sound like you do much better than the national average. Thank you very much for that.
Have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second. So,